Hello everyone. So we'll continue the operating system. The next topic is operating system services. Okay. So the OS will provide a different environment for execution of programs. It can provide some services to the programmers and other programs also. We'll be running or executing the other programs. So our operating system will support some thing for them also. Okay, so first we'll draw the diagram for this operating services, then we learn it in depth. Okay, so the first part is the top part. So here we'll be having the users and other system programs will be here. Okay, this is the first part. Okay, so then comes the second part, that is UI, user interface. So we'll have a user interface here. Okay, again, user interface, it is not to be a GUI always, it can be a command or it can be a batch taken from the file. So we'll have a GUI, okay, again like batch process. Then again we'll have a command line. Okay, this is the user interface. Then comes the system call. In the middle part, we'll have a system call. Okay, so system call is the bridge gap between the functions whatever executed in the user view and the kernel view. Okay, so then comes the operating system. So the operating system card comes here. Okay, we'll have a many services here. So below that we'll have a hardware. Okay, we'll have a hardware here and many services supported by the way. So we are going to write all the services that is supported by the OS here. Okay, so here we'll have a operating system. So this is the part of the operating system. So this operating system will have some services. So we'll list all the services inside this box. Okay, we'll join these boxes. So this is the diagram you need to write whenever they ask you to explain about the operating system services. Okay, so here what are the first ones? So first is program execution. So the OS will support us to execute our program. So that is program execution. Then input output operation. So what is input output operation? Whenever we want some input output, so that operation is also taken care by the OS. Then file system. Okay, creating, deleting, all management is done by the OS. Then communication between the process. Okay, so then resource allocation. Then we have a error deduction. Then we have accounting. Then the last but not least, that is protection and security. Okay, so this is the diagram you need to write whenever they ask you about the operating system services. Okay, now we'll try to write what are the services each of the operating system going to provide us. Okay, so first we'll start with the user interface. Okay, this complete is one service, that is user interface. Okay, so the operating system going to give us a user interface, like it can give a batch command system. Okay, or it can give a graphical user interface like buttons and icons, or third one it may give us a command line. We'll write the command, based on the command input our operating system will work, means will execute the command line and give a provide service for us. So these are the three type of user interface that is provided by the operating system. Okay, so next comes program execution. Okay, so program execution, the OS will load the program into the main memory, that is RAM. Okay, it will load the program to the RAM. Okay, and then run the program and it will only terminate the program. Okay, it can terminate normally or it can pause it and continue after later. So everything is handled by the operating system. Okay, it will load and allow us to execute the program. Then input output operations. Okay, so in input operations, what happen? So whenever we want to transfer the data from the input devices or to the output devices, So that is taken care by the OS itself. Okay, it will support us to transfer the data between the input and output device. Okay, then comes file system management. Okay, so file system we already learned this one. Okay, so file system, it allows to read the file, write into the file, create the file, delete the file. All the options are given by the provided by the operating system itself. Okay, so this is about file systems. Okay, next comes communication. Okay, we saw input output, file system is done, then communication. Okay, so fifth one is communication. Okay, so communication means inter-process communication. Whenever we run more than one process, we call them as a IPC. That is inter-process communication. Okay, it allows to communicate means the OS will allow the process one process to communicate with another process between the process. So that is what we call as a inter-process communication. The short form will denote like this IPC. Okay, so one process can communicate with another process or between the process in the same process it can send the details to the another part of the processor. Okay, like how what are the two type communication it means you should remember two key points. One is shared memory, so it will have a common memory, it both will put the data into the shared memory part. Okay, and second one is message passing. Okay, it can send a message between them. Okay, so once again I'll repeat, the inter-process communications happen in the two way. One is shared memory, one is message passing. Shared memory means the processor will have a common memory, so that whatever the changes may they make, one process is making, another process will come to know. Otherwise, second one is message passing. The message or data is passed between the one or more processes. Okay, so then comes the error deduction. Okay, so error deduction again, in this error deduction it supports both. Okay, the software errors as well as the hardware error. Okay, so both the errors are deducted by the operating system. Okay, and it is not only deduct the hardware and software error, but also it going to handle the this both error. Okay, going to handle. Okay, for example, it might be occur whenever we are running a program, there may be error in the CPU, there may be error in the memory. Okay, there may be memory failure or input output failure. So everything should be taken care and managed by the operating system. That is error reduction. Okay, so next comes resource allocation. So this is one of the major services given by the operating system. So resource means it is not only the files or memory, it can be our CPU cycles, the memory part, okay, the main memory, storage space, the secondary memory, input output device, all this comes under resource itself. So everything is managed by the operating system. Then comes accounting. Okay, so in accounting, what the OS will do, it will give the system activity. It will give the information about the system activity. It will give a track of system activity and resource usage. Means whoever using this resource and what is the resource they've used, how much resource is used. Okay, so that everything, some statistical record is maintained by the accounting. Okay, so statistical records is maintained by the OS regarding all these activities and information. The last one, which we already learned in the last class, that is protection and security. So this is the major role in the OS. So that is, so it'll keep the owners information of the files, for example. Owner's information of files and everything it will give. Whenever we connect to the network, it will check out the correct computer system is connected or not. Okay, okay, for example, it give our password protection, everything is taken care by the OS. Okay, so these are the different type of services that is provided by the operating system. Okay, so whenever they ask you to explain about the different services, okay, provided by the OS that makes user efficiently operations. Okay, so they may twist and ask the question. So these are the operating system services. Okay, So next we'll see one more subtopic. Okay, so sometimes they may ask you the next topic, right? So user interfaces. Okay, user operating system interface. Okay, so whenever you ask this question, so you should try to explain two things. One is command prompt. Okay, there'll be a command interpreter. We'll take our input and give to the OS. Second one is graphical user interface. Okay, yeah. So command interface means we'll take a command like Unix operating system. All this takes a command and work for us. Okay, graphical user interface means like our Windows, whichever gives a graphic like icon, buttons, everything. So they are called graphical user interface. So these are the two example of operating system. One is Unix and one is Windows. Okay, so thank you for watching. So we'll continue in the next class. Do like and subscribe for more such videos.